Aloha, this is Sensei Ichi. Today we're going to be doing something weaponized. Weaponized? That sounds kind of dangerous. Right. We're going to talk about weaponizing the bow staff, even though it already is kind of a weapon, so just watch the intro. We'll talk about it later. A long time ago, I whittled this bow from an ancient toothpick that was really big. It was for Conan, and then I made it into this bow. So it's rattan, and I'm gonna hit him with it today, just like that. This bow staff routine starts with 3, and it can turn into, I think, 9, maybe even 10 moves. So the first strike I'm gonna be doing, is an offensive overhead strike. If you hold the bow both palm up here, you're gonna keep one hand palm up and one hand palm down. So I'm right-handed, we're gonna do this right-handed. So my right hand's gonna go palm up, and I'm gonna take my left hand, turn it palm down and grab. And I want my hands about chest width. So I wanna be grabbing the center of the bow. I don't wanna be grabbing off to one side, heavy off to another. I wanna grab about center, so I need to feel where the balance is. Hands on either side, put it right up against my chest, and that's center for me. So I do the overhead strike. I'm gonna be taking my right hand, putting it over my shoulder like I'm like Huck Finn, and I'm throwing my bag of checkered whatever over my shoulder. So this is where the overhead starts, right here. His hands are gonna be in the exact same position. You might wanna open your hands up a little bit wider, because the more space you have to defend, the less likely it is your fingers are gonna get cracked by this bow. When I do this overhead strike, I'm gonna be taking my right foot and stepping forward with an overhead strike into what we call a front stance. I'm gonna step forward and do a front stance overhead strike. When he goes back, he's gonna step back with his left foot, keeping his right foot in the front, also doing a front stance. You want his arm to be locked out, that way it's strong, because if I start getting into it and I go heavy, pull him right in here and strong, he's gonna want to make sure he locks that out nice and strong and powerful, so the bow doesn't give and, you know, again, crack him in the forehead. Number 1 is overhead. Okay, that's step 1. There's gonna be 3 total. From here, I'm gonna be doing a poke. So when I do a poke, I'm gonna take my front stance, I'm gonna slide back to what we call a cat stance. When we do a cat stance, I made a video about this, so make sure you click this guy up here and he'll talk to you about the stances. So when I slide back to cat stance, my front foot will go ball the foot down, pushing into the mat, and my heel will go off the mat with my back foot pointed at a 45. So when I do this one, I'm gonna slide back to full from my poke. So I take my front hand from the poke position, my forearm is gonna go right to my chest as my back hand goes completely straight behind me. So I'm doing straight behind me as I fold for the poke here. Okay, so I'm sliding back to cat stance to fold. He's now gonna do a parry. So when he does a parry, it's a little more involved. Think of the parry as a backward C. You're basically making a circle. We have a block we do called an outside defense. The bow is going to be making that exact same motion. So his hand's gonna be going straight, palm away, and then palm blocks across the face. The most important part is making sure you're actually crossing the face to block the poke. When I poke, I'm gonna be aiming towards his throat, okay? So I slide back to cat stance to fall for the poke, he preps for the block, and I'm gonna be poking. As he's blocking, he needs to make sure he slides back into a cat stance, again, blocking his throat, doing the parry, and notice he's following all the way through. The poke is not gonna stop right here at the face, because that doesn't make any sense. We're working on follow through to actually defend against the poke. The third one is gonna be a leg strike. So to do this, it's a little complicated, so I'm gonna break it down a little simply. I like to tell my students to start from 2 hands straight, go to an X, and then go to a straight line at the bottom. So we have straight arms, X, and then go straight down from there. When I do a little quicker, it's gonna make a spiral circling motion going downward. So I'm going from the poke, coming around my head and going back. Again, when I transfer stances, I'm sliding back to cat stance, stepping out to front stance to finish the attack. From the poke, I'm gonna be coming up and around and striking low. Now the block is very simple. From the parry, all he does is take the top end of the bow, it goes straight down to the leg, and it goes right in front of, should be matching the top of the knee to the bottom of the foot, defending all that motion. So where my hand starts is just above where my knee is, and the bow's gonna be blocking all the rest of that. Do not touch the bow to your leg, because all that's gonna happen is you're gonna feel the bow ricochet into your bones, and it's gonna suck. So make sure that you do put the bow away from the leg to defend it, just like you would put a block away from head, not touching your forehead. So as I come around, he's gonna go block low and block the leg strike right in here, okay? You should end up with your left hand underneath your arm and the leading hand pointing straight down, almost like I'm doing a low defense, same kind of concept, okay? So those are the 3 strikes. From this position here, he's gonna go right into an overhead. So watch how smooth this goes. Boom, right on that overhead. The low hand's gonna be like you're scooping, or like you're scooping up to throw a hammer. So from here, I'm gonna go from low, make it around in a circle, I'm gonna rotate it, come over the top for the overhead. So he's gonna scoop it, and I slide back, block it above my head, okay? He's gonna come forward with a poke, he's gonna slide back and full for the poke as I make my backward C, block across the face with the parry. He's then gonna come out with a leg strike over the head and blocking leg in the cat stance. And again, bows away from the leg because I don't wanna get hit. And the fancier you get it, the smoother you get, you can kind of really go back and forth and make it nice and quick. The basics of your hands, where they should be for these, to do the overhead, it's not just straight arms to straight arms. There's gonna be some wrist movement to get a little bit more power, a little bit of flick. Just like in our basic blocks, we have wrist snap, and the bow we're gonna have the same. So when we do the overhead, take the back of your hand and put it to your cheek and bend that wrist and curl it, and then when you let it go, we're gonna flick it out. Pretend like you have a piece of gum stuck in your hand and you're shooing it away, or like you're shooing a fly. So I go right to the back of the cheek, boom, and I go right here. Since we're doing combative bow, I'm gonna be taking the bow and putting it over my elbow, because if I put it underneath my arm, he hits me in the elbow, it's gonna be the worst thing that's ever gonna happen to you. So maybe not the worst thing, but it's gonna suck pretty bad. When we do the parry, it's kind of like the same concept. I'm gonna be putting my hand away, palm away from me, and flicking it across, so getting a little more quickness. The flick allows for you extra speed and a whole lot of power, so if it comes at you with a hard poke, I can get to defend it really, really fast and comfortably. Leg block, you're just gonna come right across the legs, not really much detail there. For the poke, the details of this, palm to the inside, and I'm gonna be flicking it out just like the overhead, so I'm gonna be pushing with my backhand forward, and I'm gonna be flicking the wrist just like I would be doing a punching straight out. So I'm winding it up, flicking it forward for the poke. You should a nice pop. All right, guys, that is it. That wraps it up for the bow staff routine. To train this bow staff routine, make sure you're safe with it. If you don't have somebody to train with, you could just train to individualize, working on the offense part and the defense separate. But if you have a buddy, life is always more fun with a buddy. So if you can find somebody to work this with, maybe you can teach it to a friend of yours and you guys could train together and just build that wholesome relationship through martial arts and through bow staffing. If you have any questions about any kind of details pertaining to the video, please leave it in the comments below, or you can send me a message through Instagram or Facebook, and we can have a nice little chat. Please click the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. That way you can be notified every time a video comes out. There's going to be a video coming out every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so don't miss out on these videos because you're going to cherish them to the end of your days and mine. So this is Sensei Ichi from the TOS Karate Studio. Tongsu.